Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to use a second pose for your still avatar. And we can make this into a default standing pose, or we could make it into a triggerable action pose. So what we need to do first is we need to create another pose. We've already got our first one, so let's create another one. So I'll just come over here to the base product and just find something. This one here will do. We'll just use that one, click on there and load it. Okay, now I've already actually saved this, but just for tutorial sake, call it pose 2. I'll just overwrite this, yes. Okay, now we need to export it again. Okay, now I already have it loaded in here. Okay, you can see here, and we're just going to overwrite still 1. Okay, so let's just export, and it's been exported. We can see that by having a look in our folder here under the Pandora V. You can see that it's here. So let's close this, let's go into create mode, and I've already saved the previous chicken file, the product that we were working on, so I'm going to open that. And you can see here is the product here. So let's go to the actions tab. Okay, so we have our first pose down here. Now we want that to play, and then we want it to change into our second pose. Okay, so because we have this on cycle through ensembles, remember I told you in the previous video that it will play from 9 going up this way. Okay, so in order for this to work, we need it to leave this pose after a certain amount of time, depending on how many loops we put in here, and go onto this pose. And so what will happen is it will need to go onto this next one, so you need to fill up all these slots with your 2 poses. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll come down to 8. Actually, first we'll come back to 1, and we'll just set this loop to 1 just for testing purposes. Okay, and then we'll come to 8. We'll check disable gaze to make sure the head doesn't move. We'll put in 2, for example, here, loops. We'll wipe out this, and we'll wipe out this, and we'll wipe out this, and then we will load our second pose. So let's load our second pose. Okay, now when we click apply, it will stay in this pose, but it should quickly change into the next pose. So if we just keep our eye on that, you will see it change. There we go, so it's into the next pose. Now it's only going to stay in this for a couple of loops, and then it's going to move on to number 7. Now you watch what happens. It'll go on to number 7, which is actually an IMVU default pose. So you need to put all your poses in here. Okay. In order for this to work with your poses, you need to fill up all these slots, which will take over. See, and now it's back in the IMVU pose. So just make sure that you fill up all these slots with your own poses. And then once you have this all full, then you can just randomize it by changing this back to pick new ensemble. Okay. That's simple. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to show you how to add a pose.